Women and Money, session number 2. And we are delighted to have you this evening. And again, especially during what we call Albany State's spring break. So I am always excited and delighted when I see persons take the time out of their evening to come join us. And we have just an amazing program for the evening. And this is our second in a series of 3. And we are equally excited because we did a just amazing kickoff in the fall. And some of you may have attended that session or at least watched the video that was captured, the recording from that session. And so this is the second of 3 sessions following the kickoff that will focus this evening on real estate and investing. And again, I am Kathaleena Edward Monds, the founding director for the Center for Educational Opportunity here at Albany State University. And the Center for Educational Opportunity is a research center. We were launched in 2017-18 academic year. So we've been around for a while now, I think into our 6th year. Partnered this evening on a grant that our center was awarded through this notion of understanding home ownership, but our center wanted to really address this conversation through the lens of the experiences of women. And while we recognize that women have men in their lives, we also recognize that as mothers and wives and sisters and aunts and cousins, we have a very unique role. And mothers, we have a very unique role because it would behoove us to learn more about money through either real estate or invest budgeting, because oftentimes we're called upon to be in a lead capacity for our families. And so you're going to hear this evening from 2 additional experts. Last week on March 1st, 2023, we had the pleasure of engaging and being in the presence of Miss Tanita McKnight and Adrian Lance Lucas, our 2 first experts. And this evening, you're going to hear from both Jennifer McReynolds and Rushunda Muldrow in their respective presentations. So again, this is what our series looks like. And while tonight's session is both physical and virtual, because of it being spring break, we decided to just host it fully online because we recognize that the campus is a ghost town and we did not want to inconvenience anyone to have to come to the campus so that everyone can have access. And as Jennifer just posted in the chat, wherever you are in the world, post the physically are sitting. So that would help us to kind of get an idea of our geographic reach. So just take a moment and post where you are sitting at this very exact moment so that we can get an idea of, again, how we are doing in terms of proximity, because we understand the value of proximity to opportunity. And then finally, the 3rd session will take place on March 18th. And it's going to be a face-to-face only session. Well, we will have links for persons who just cannot travel to the campus to see you on our beautiful campus, on the beautiful campus of Albany State, where all 4 of the experts will come together in a couple of weeks to do a hands-on session on a Saturday. And we hope it will be a beautiful sunny Saturday at that. And so this is what the layout of the land will be for the evening. This is a brief agenda. We will first hear from Rushunda Muldrow, who is a real estate guru. She'll share with you some of her work that she's been doing, her journey. Rushunda is an Albany State University alum, and we are super proud of her. And we'll both have a hands-on activity. So everyone present, please, please, please engage. We will be doing a raffle at the end for some gift cards. So again, as we did in the previous 2 sessions, we will capture all those persons who are present at the end of the respective presentations and put your name into a raffle where we'll spin this wheel. We would also like to encourage everyone on this call to complete an evaluation. The link will be shared in the chat area, so you would kindly complete the evaluation. In addition, if you look at the top right-hand corner of this slide deck, you're going to see a QR code that will allow you to go straight to the evaluation. And so because we know that, as you can see, we're going to have two presenters, we want to hear from you, and we want to get two separate evaluations from you this evening for the respective presenters. And that we appreciate because, as you can imagine, when you have grants, grant organizations love qualitative and quantitative data when achieving our objectives. So let me give you a little bit of background. This program this evening is funded by a grant from, as you can see on the screen, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which many of you know of as HUD. HUD, in partnership with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, had a grant entitled the Housing and Financial Literacy Grant. And they were very laser focused on this particular grant because it is actually earmarked or designated for universities, which Albany State is one. And for those of you online, Albany State is one of 10 historically Black colleges in the state of Georgia, both public and private. And so this Housing and Financial Literacy Grant was aimed to provide, as you can see, this kind of comprehensive, evidence-based, results-driven programs to improve the financial well-being of community constituents. And so in the vein of being an HBCU, our community constituents would certainly be those persons in proximity our respective. So for example, if you look at your map in the state of Georgia, Albany State is located in the southwest quadrant of the state, and we serve about 27 counties in rural Georgia. So that gives you an idea of the reach of our community constituents. And so again, I am going to finish with my closing comments just to remind you to do the evaluation. What's going to happen now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Rushunda Muldrow. So please give us a moment while we do the quick switch out. And again, welcome. We are excited to have you, and we hope that you have fun, and be well. Bye now.
I'm so excited for you. And while you pull up your presentation, I just wanted to say, Dr. Monds, that we have 3 states representing here tonight. And I'm super excited about that. We've got Tallahassee, Florida, Columbia, South Carolina, and then several cities in Georgia, Albany, Atlanta, Cairo, Sylvester. How exciting is that?
Yes, that's awesome.
Very exciting.
Okay, so are we ready to get started? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Rushunda Muldrow, and yes, I am a native Albanian here, and I'm a real estate broker / owner of the Real Estate Concierge, and I'm excited to be here this evening. Any chance or opportunity that I get to speak about home ownership, I try to take that opportunity because I want to educate about the process and take the intimidation out of the process of owning a home. And I'd like for my clients to be well, or just not my own clients, but people just in general, to be well informed and to know what it takes to become a homeowner and the process, so they can either do it for themselves or either share it with their family members as well. So I'm excited, and I want you to be excited about the information. It's going to be interactive. If you guys want to post questions in the chat, feel free. I don't mind answering those as I'm going along, because you might ask something that I may not have in my presentation. And let's just interact. Let's take this moment to soak up everything we have here. And maybe this information is for you because you want to purchase a home, or maybe you know someone that wants to do so and you can share this information. Another thing, Dr. Monds, if you don't mind posting the link in the group, if everyone could just share with 2 people right now, share the link to this particular, to our event right now with 2 people who you think will be beneficial, consider this information beneficial. If you can do that for me right now, please, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump on in. All right, so my company, like I said, is the Real Estate Concierge, and we are a local minority-owned business. Of course, I'm the owner, and We consist of about 10 agents right now. So we're a boutique, what we consider a boutique firm. And we started this company in 2018 in this area. I myself, I've been in real estate for 15 years, but I did start my company just in 2018. And we're a small firm, but we pack a mighty punch. Okay? So just a little bit about me. Like I said, it's still saying 14, but it's 15 years. And I specialize in both residential and commercial. Of course, residential deals with more of your home buyers and investors. On the commercial side, we do manage, we manage properties for large businesses or companies in our local area. And that's more of your commercial side, anything dealing with the business side. I'm a graduate of Albany State University from the College of Business, where I received my management degree, and I did go on to further my education and receive a Master of Business Administration from Nova Southeastern. And I can say, as being a broker, it is very rewarding, but challenging at the same time, but I really enjoy what I do. And it's all about, to me, it's all about helping others achieve their goals of home ownership, whether it is to build wealth in their family, to be the first person to own a home in their family, or either just to have their life financially situated and financially straight so they can give or pass things on to their kids. So that's my purpose. That's my why and the reason why I do what I do. All right. So as we all know, buying a home can be very exciting or very scary at the same time. And it is my job as an agent to basically take that excitement and run with it and help my clients achieve their goal of home ownership, or even take the intimidation or the fear out of owning a home. The home buying process, there are 7 basic steps to owning a home. Now, let me say this. Not everyone's process is the same. Everyone is, they have a unique path that they took in life, so therefore their process to home ownership will be very different. However, this particular home buying process, these steps here are your basic steps that pretty much everyone has to follow. And we're going to go through these steps here, and I want you to take good notes because we will be asking questions at the end, okay? All right, so the first one, the buying consultation. The buying consultation is basically when you come into either your agent's office or you have a phone consultation where you sit down and that's your time to really say what your needs are, what would make a great home for you and your family, whether that's location, where is the functionality of the property, what do you need, or why do you want to buy a home? A lot of people have different set of needs when it comes to purchasing a home. Maybe it's something that, maybe they're doing an investment, or maybe they have kids and they want to, have, instead of living in an apartment, they want to purchase a home or a condo that doesn't have the maintenance, doesn't have all the yard and all of that they're looking for. They just need something quick or something small that's more manageable. So I always tell my clients during the consultation, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? The reason being is it's an emotional process. So when you're in this process and being emotional about it, it's always good to go back to the why. Why did you start this process in the first place? And I try to keep that in front of my clients throughout the process when they get discouraged. When the underwriter says, give them some discouraging news, or if an appraisal comes back bad or something like that, I refocus them and say, what is your why? So when you're thinking about buying a home, start there. Start to, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this in the first place? And can everyone hear me okay? I hope I saw that message. I hope everyone can hear me okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. So as you all know, there are 2 parties in the buying process. You have the buyer and the seller. So we'll mainly be coming from, for this presentation, we'll mainly be coming from the buyer aspect. Most things will come from the buyer aspect. Now, in every transaction, you have the opportunity to have 2 agents involved or just one that handles both sides. My preference is to have 2 agents involved. Now, you have what you call the listing agent, which is the seller's agent because they have the listing on the market or the property on the market, or you have what we call the buyer's agent, of course, or the selling agent because they're selling the property to the buyer, and they represent the buyer side, or you have what we call a dual agent who represents both. Now, most cases you do have both on both sides, but like I said, you do have that dual agency there. And if you're ever involved in a dual agency situation, please, please, please always make sure you have someone to look over your information or have your best interest at heart, because you want to make sure your needs and you're represented very well, okay? All right, so as a buyer's agent, typically the seller has an agent who is working for them, so you want to have your agent. Now, these are the benefits of having a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent they will first help you find a home. They're going to take you on the showings. They're going to send you listings and help you to come to the conclusion of the house that will work best for you. They will also help you evaluate the prices. They will help you to come to the conclusion of whether you want to pay $150,000 for this house, or maybe you want to go a little bit lower and pay $125,000 for this house. They will also help you negotiate the offers. When you're trying to submit an offer for a particular property, you may not want to go in and offer full asking price. You may want to just offer, $20,000 less, or just say, hey, I'm paying cash, I'm going to offer this, this number. So that's what the agent is going to negotiate on your behalf, and also ask for things that you may not be familiar with, such as any house that my clients buy, I'm going to always ask for a home warranty, a 1-year home warranty. I'm going to always ask for a termite letter. And if I see something in the property as I'm viewing it physically, if I'm physically there at the property and see something, I'm going to ask for certain repairs to go along with that as well. Also, the buyer's agent will help guide you throughout the entire transaction, what we call from contract to close. That's their job, to get you from contract to close, okay? And another thing I see Dr. Monds posted is they will also ask for repairs. They will also ask for any repairs that you may need. All right, so question to you all. Did you know that in most cases you can hire a buyer's agent at no cost to you? Did you know that? Now, what happens is when the seller puts that house on the market, the seller has already negotiated with that listing agent to say, hey, list my property for this number. And if someone brings you a client, if a buyer's agent brings you a client, you split that commission with them, okay? So what does that mean? You as the buyer, when you're securing that agent, it's no cost to you out of your pocket in most circumstances. It's no cost to you. So take advantage of that. Don't ever feel pressured to have to use the person whose name is on the sign of the house that you love, because they are already in a relationship, a real estate relationship with that particular seller. So always know that you can have your own representation, okay? All right, so another part of the consultation, like I said before, we determine your needs. What are your needs? And this is important. And I think this step is missed a lot, or these questions are not addressed, mainly because we get so excited. We get our new pre-approval letter. The lender says, hey, go ahead and find your house. Let's go shopping. But we really kind of forget, what do I really need in a home? If I've got 5 kids, am I going to go with a 2-bedroom? If I have this nice fancy car, am I going to not get a garage? If I want my kids to be able to go outside and play, am I going to get a condo? So, not that they can't play the condo, but you'll be limited in yard space. So those kind of things must be taken into consideration. The house has to be functional, because remember, you're not signing a 12-month lease on this. You're actually signing a mortgage, sometimes for 15 years, sometimes for 30. Not saying you can't move, but you want to make sure the functionality of that house makes sense for you and your family. Also, like Dr. Monds said, if you have pets, does the house fit that functionality? Would that apply, okay? You also want to know your pricing. What is your price range? What can you afford? Now, just a tidbit here. When you are deciding, and I know we had a session about budgeting and our housing needs and the percentages of our monthly income that should go to housing, this is something that you should take into consideration, because we don't want to be house poor. We want to make sure that the lifestyle that we had before the house, we can still maintain it. Okay? We want to make sure we can still go out to eat on occasion and not have to eat ramen noodles all the time. We want to make sure that if we want to go take a trip to Italy or our annual family vacation, we can still do that and not just have to sit at home because I've gotten all this house and that's where my money is going. Or even more, once I get the house and clothes, can I buy furniture? Can I afford to furnish this house and put the necessary items that my family needs inside of the house? So that's something you want to take into consideration as far as the pricing of things. Another question is, who's helping you make the decision? Is it going to be your spouse? Or for my single ladies who purchase, is it going to be your boo? Is it going to be another family member? Or sometimes we may have our dad or our uncles or something, that male figure that we respect in our lives. Will they be helping us make that decision? That's something you want to know going in. Who's going to help me make this decision, or whose opinion do I value most? When I take my clients through this process, I call it a buying buddy. Who's your buying buddy? Because that's going to be the person you're going to vent to and talk to throughout this process. Okay? Next one, what areas about location? Remember, location, location, location. What areas of town do you prefer? What do you want to be? Do we have to be close to our job? Do we have to be near a school, a certain school zone, or a medical facility? Those kind of things you want to take into consideration. And again, the type of home, townhome, condo, single-family home, or detached single-family home. Which ones do we want? Do we want the 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 square foot, or do we just need just 1,500 or 1,000 square feet just for us? Okay? That's something to take into consideration. All right, step 2, the loan pre-approval. And I would say this is probably the most skipped step in all the process. Why? Because normally we just jump in and start shopping. We just go ahead and start looking and, going from house to house, taking realtors and this and that, but we don't ever get the pre-approval first. Some people say, I've gotten, when people call about my listings, they say, well, I don't need to get a pre-approval. I know that I can afford, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But will the bank give you the money? You probably can afford it, but can the bank give you the money? That's always my question. Because number one, the process, I'm sorry, I don't know if you all are getting a clicky noise, but is that just me? No? All right, so like I said, as far as how much house can you afford, you have to determine this because, number one, you can fall in love with the house and then say, well, I'm going to go back and go to the bank, and then the bank says, well, you might love the house, but we can't lend you money because this is on your credit. And it might be something that you didn't know was there. You're paying your bills every month. You're making sure all your creditors give that money, but it's something that may have popped up. So to avoid all of this, my company requires that you go ahead and secure your financing with a pre-approval first. Now, the pre-approval is only the bank checking your income and they check your income by your bank your paycheck from your employer, and they're also and they check your tax returns as well, and they're also checking your credit at this time. They'll pull your credit score to even see if you will qualify credit-wise. So usually only takes 10, 20 minutes for you to go over that, submit your information to the lender to do that. It's worth taking that time to make sure that you are on the right path to get the process started by getting that pre-approval. Okay? Also, getting the pre-approval really does make your offer stronger when it comes to approaching that seller. So say we found our house at 123 Main Street. We absolutely love it. This is the one for us. And maybe this is like the market is now, it's very competitive because our inventory levels are down, but you have a lot more buyers. So we want our offer to stand out from everyone else. We don't want the seller to just overlook us, and the seller will overlook you if you don't have a pre-approval letter. That means you did not take that first step to go ahead and make sure your financing is in place. All right. So these are two preferred lenders that we have here, and we have several, but these are two that we really work with and get information. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of that, please feel free to do so. They are, I call my partners, and they really do make sure I try to choose lenders who would take the time to educate my clients, not just give them a mortgage, but take the time to educate my clients, because there might be some challenges that this client has, and they may not be ready right now today. So I want those lenders that I send my clients to be able to tell you, okay, you're not ready right now today, but take these steps and you will be ready in the next 3 months, or you will be ready in the next 6 months, okay? All right, so now we've gotten our pre-approval letter. We've decided what our needs are, what the best house that will fit for us, what we're looking for, the amenities that we want. The next step is to actually start searching for your home. So let's go shopping. All right. So there are several sources that you can pull properties from. It's not just the MLS, not just where we post the property. There are several places that you can pull properties from. And like I said, the MLS, or you can go to new home construction sites. We also have what we call pocket listings, which may be that person, that seller who doesn't really want to put their house out there, but if the right buyer comes by or hear about the property, then they may be willing to sell, okay? There are also, my least favorite part, when we put the internet on here, but more so like Zillow. We know Zillow, everyone goes to Zillow and pull properties, but sometimes Zillow can be a little bit inaccurate. So if I had to choose the lesser of two evils when it comes to the internet, I would say use Realtor.com. Realtor.com tends to be a little more accurate when it comes to information as far as properties are concerned. Other opportunities, you have this, we call them FSBOs, or the DIY sellers. These are your for sale by owner listings. These are properties where the owners basically, you know, they feel like, you know, I can do this myself. I don't need a real estate agent, and that's fine. If you decide you want to go with the for sale by owner, I would highly, highly, highly still recommend that you get a buyer's agent so that you can make sure your paperwork, all the terms of the deal are all negotiated correctly. Your for sale by owner seller is not an attorney. They are not a licensed real estate professional. They just own a home that they want to sell. So do not rely on them to make sure that your title work is correct, your inspection report is done, or even seeing the property. Some of them may not even answer the phone in a timely manner. So you want to make sure that you get this information from a licensed professional in that field, okay? There's nothing wrong. Please don't take it like I'm saying anything wrong with purchasing a for sale by owner. You just want to make sure you have a professional that is going through that process with you to make sure you get from contract to close. Second part, short sale. Short sale is another way to get a property. We haven't seen a lot of short sales coming out of that strong market 2 or 3 years ago where everybody was buying and selling, but things are starting to return to normal. Now, what's normal? What you might ask, what is normal? Normal is now, whereas we put a house on the market, same day or next day it's under contract. That's the market 2 years ago. Now we're normal marketing time, maybe 30, 60 days before we receive some offers. Not saying that you won't receive any prior to, but normal marketing times are around that time. So in regards to a short sale, the only thing short on a short sale is the money. It does not mean the process is short. It does not mean, you know, you may get an awesome deal. It's like the step before foreclosure. So say Miss Susie has a house that she purchased, and here we are 5 years later, and something tragic happened to where her income decreased. So she can no longer carry the burden of a mortgage, and things have changed in her situation. She can reach out to her lender and say, hey, I have a buyer that is interested in purchasing my property. Mr. Bank, would you take a short on the balance that I owe? My balance is $100,000 to you right now. Will you take a short if I have a buyer that wants to come in and maybe pay $80,000 for my house? Would you allow me to do that and sell it to them? Now, the caveat is Miss Susie cannot make any money off that deal. She has to get net $0. But what it does, it keeps her from having that foreclosure imprint on her credit report. Okay? So that's the thing about a short sale, but it helps the buyer on the buyer side because they're getting a deal. Where that house might have appraised for 125, you know, they're going to agree with Miss Susan to pay 80. So they built some instant equity in just by purchasing her home. So that's why short sales are beneficial on the buyer side and even on the owner side as well. And the last one is bank-owned foreclosure properties. Of course, we all know about those. Foreclosures are properties that the banks have taken back because maybe that owner didn't even pursue the short sale. They just maybe walked away and gave up. And you have clients, have owners that do that. Or maybe someone passed on and then the property was, you know, sent to probate and now the bank said, okay, we're going to take our property back because this is an asset to us and we don't want it to deteriorate. So let us take it back and we're going to put it back on the market. So those are the properties that you see that have bank-owned or foreclosures. Those are some of the reasons as to why. All right, our next step here, number 4, viewing homes. This is probably one of the most, I guess, light steps in the process. Everyone wants to look at homes, which is, I really enjoy looking at homes as well. When I first started, I wanted to see every house. So I would say it's one of the most fascinating parts of the process. So some people like to shop online, you know, just like you do your virtual shopping, or some people want to physically go in person. I would always say, determine, first of all, what kind of time frame are you working with? Are you a casual buyer? Like, yes, I'm pre-approved, but I really don't have to go anywhere, like, immediately. You know, if I see something, I got my pre-approval, so I can go ahead and jump on it. Or are you the buyer, I needed a house yesterday, so we got to be aggressive. Determine your level of aggression when it comes to your buying time frame, because that'll let the agent know how much do they have to push you, or how aggressive they have to be in their search. Do they need to send you properties every day? Or sometimes I have to send them every hour. I got my notification set to send them something as soon as it hits the market because we're on a time frame. So determine that early on, what's your level of, you know, your time frame that you're moving in. Also, narrow down your search. If you and I have a buyer's consultation and you tell me I gotta have 3 bedrooms, we're not looking at 2-bedroom houses. It just doesn't make sense. We're going to waste your time, going to waste my time. We need to get to the houses that are functionally available for us, okay? So that's why you have to go ahead and know your criteria. You know what you need. You know what your family needs. All right. What to do if you're approached by another agent? So just say that I'm representing you, in this process, and you know, you might decide, oh, me and my family after church Sunday, we're gonna go out and look at some houses, which is totally fine. That's your prerogative. We want you to go out and look at houses. And maybe you see an open house sign and you go into that property. Now, the first thing, proper etiquette would be to let that particular agent know, hey, I have an agent, but I do want to come and see your house. And that's perfectly fine. What you don't want to do is get involved with another agent if you already have an agreement or you're already working with one agent. All of us have access to the same information, the same MLS. Now, if there's an issue where you're not satisfied with your agent, by all means, you need to terminate that relationship and properly move on. But if you're just out and another agent approaches you, the proper etiquette thing to do is to let them know, hey, thank you so much for the information, but so-and-so is my agent, okay? The next thing, step 5, is developing a price strategy. And Dr. Monds, how am I looking on time? 6:50, okay, you said 6:50? Okay, I'm good on time, I'm good. Okay, 6:50, got you, thank you. All right, Jennifer, I think your question was, do you mind reading it? Because it disappeared from my screen.
Sure. I said, what are some reasons for terminating an agent relationship? It's not because necessarily that someone else seems like they may do a better job. I don't think that's a good reason. But what are some reasons that would necessitate terminating a relationship?
Great question. So some of the reasons that I've experienced with my agents and seeing what some of my agents have dealt with, and not many have they have terminated, but there could be often personality differences. Maybe we have some buyers who don't want to submit their pre-approval letter, but that is a requirement of our company. So we probably have started the process with the buyer, and we're coaching them through getting to the point where they're credit ready, and then we say, okay, we need that pre-approval letter, but they still want to go see 50 houses. So if that buyer does not agree to our standard, then there could be a termination there. Or there are clients who may feel like they can do the job a little bit better than we can. So sometimes if my agents feel like, well, I can't service that client in that way, maybe they'll terminate with them and move to another agent. It's just different reasons. But I feel like people do business with people that they trust and people that they feel like are knowledgeable and understanding about their business. So there aren't a whole lot of reasons, I would say, that I've seen terminations, but the option is still there. And even in the past, like 2 years, when it was a rush, buy a house, and somebody may feel like their agent wasn't moving fast enough. I've seen that as well, because sometimes you have what we call, and I'm not going to call them part-time, we call them dual career. So that agent may not be available, during 9 to 5 business hours, and they have to wait until the evening times or the weekends. And some buyers, they want the house right now, today, they want to see it. So that could be a reason why as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. That was helpful.
Okay. Are there any other questions I missed? I can take a moment. Okay. So almost the last step we have here is developing a pricing strategy. We want to develop a pricing. What is a pricing strategy? A pricing strategy is basically, what is your budget? And if we see a house outside of your budget, are you willing to go up, or is that going to be a definitive no? When we start the buyer's consultation, one of the first things I ask is not what did your bank qualify you for, but what are you comfortable with paying monthly? Let's start your current rent. Now, let's just take Miss Susie still. We're going to still deal with Miss Susie. Miss Susie is renting a home right now, and she's paying $1,000 a month. Okay. So Miss Susie's client said, Miss Susie, are you comfortable with that amount? And she said, well, yeah. She said, I'm comfortable, and I might have a little room to go up, but I'm comfortable at the $1,000 because that's what I'm currently paying. I've been paying it for the last 5 years. Okay. So when I, as the agent, go out to start looking for these properties for Miss Susie, I'm going to make sure I stay as close to that amount as possible. Why? Because Miss Susie has told me she's comfortable at that amount. What I won't do is go find a house that's going to cost her $2,000, $2,500 a month. Why? Because in our industry, that's considered payment shock. That's a shock to your income or your budget because you're practically doubling what you're used to. Now, not saying that you can't afford it or you won't make a way for it to happen, but just looking at the numbers as they are, most lenders would be afraid to lend you a house where you're only paying, you're paying one number and you want to double it. That would cause them some trepidation, okay? So that's why I asked the question, what are you comfortable with? Because I want to know, despite what the lender might tell you, you can afford a $3,500 a month note, but if you're paying that $1,000, that's what you're comfortable with, that's me as your agent, I'm going to go with that, okay? So that's going to be our pricing strategy, but I'll keep it in my mind that, we see this house that we just absolutely love and it has all the bells and whistles, then maybe we can go up to maybe $1,200 or $1,300 a month, okay? So that's what a pricing strategy is. Also, the pricing strategy is knowing the local market. What areas would that $1,000 a month payment put you in? Is it an area that is desirable for you and your family, or is it an area that, no, we need to stay away from it? Okay? So that's a part of your pricing strategy. Now, as a part of educating my buyers, once they send me a property that they absolutely love, I take that property and do what we call a market analysis. And I take that property to show my clients, listen, this is what has sold in that particular neighborhood in the last 6 months. 6 months is still considered the current market for a particular area. Now, you want to look at what they're asking for on certain properties. This would be a listing because this is currently on the market and this is what they're asking for. And these are what we call our sold comps here. These sold comps, the 4-bedroom, 2-bath here in the middle, is sold for $220, or the sold property here. So this pretty much tells me what kind of activity is going on in that area. Now, if we get to an area where I can't pull any comps or nothing is coming up active or sold, that's a red flag. That means something is going on in that neighborhood where no one is buying or selling. And you never want to move into a neighborhood where nothing is happening, okay? This information, like it says here, can assist in determining a realistic yet attractive offer. So if the asking price is $209 on this property, are we going to go in at $150? When we look at these other sold comps and they're selling in the same neighborhood, probably even the same street, for $220, $225, are we going to go and expect our offer to be taken seriously if we offer $150? Most cases, no. Not saying that might not be a situation where the seller is desperate, but we won't know until we make an offer, okay? So having that market analysis, it helps you to make a good decision as far as what offer you should make, but to also make sure your offer is competitive against other offers. All right, step number 6, writing and negotiating offers. This is one of the most important steps of hiring a buyer's agent or having someone to represent you. A lot of DIY buyers forget certain things, or they don't know what they don't know. So they may say, well, I can negotiate my own offer, or I can just send it over to the seller. Maybe the seller is a family friend or something. I'll just submit them something. Well, there's certain things that you should ask for. When you're making, there's certain factors that should be included in that offer. We're going to go through these because these are important. Number 1, the purchase price. You want a good buy that is also attractive to the seller. Your offer has to be attractive to the seller. Like I said on the slide before, a $150 offer on a house that costs $220 is not attractive to that seller. You probably won't get their attention. Things that should be included. What is included with the purchase? You want to know, does it include the appliances? Does it include a washer and dryer? If there's this nice storage shed in the back that you can make into a she shed or a man cave, does it come with the property? Those are questions that you want to know. Or what items are excluded? Those same items can be excluded as well. But if you're being a DIY buyer, would you remember to ask these questions? Also, earnest money. What is earnest money? Earnest money is basically money that says, hey, Mr. Seller, I want your house. Take your house off the market for 30 to 45 days, and here's my money down saying that I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do as far as the financing side. And since you're going to take your house off the market, hold my money until I can get my financing approved and until we can close. That's what the earnest money is. Earnest money isn't your down payment. It will be credited as your down, as a portion of it, but it's not your down payment. It is money that is held by either the attorney's office or one of the brokerages that are being represented, and they hold those funds in an escrow account until it's time to close. Next item, closing costs. What are closing costs? Closing costs are basically fees the fees that are charged to close the real estate transaction, okay? What is paid out of closing costs? Closing costs pays the closing attorney. Of course, nothing is free. The closing attorney is going to want their fee for handling all this paperwork. You also have what we call a Georgia transfer tax. Anytime you transfer property in the state of Georgia, Georgia's going to get their cut, and it's a percentage, but it's still a cut, and that's something that is included in their cost. Also, sometimes there can be an appraisal fee, an outside appraisal fee that can be included as well. Typically, for every loan that is given, there's a certain percentage that is assigned to that loan as far as the closing cost. I like to estimate my closing costs to be between 4 and 5% of the sales price. So if you're trying to, get an idea or ballpark figures of what the closing cost would cost, that's the number that I try to stick with, 4 to 5%. So that 4 to 5% on a $100,000 loan, of course, that's $4,000. Now, Don't confuse that number with your down payment. It just so happened to be the same, around the same range, but it is not the same number. They have two totally different purposes. So when you're negotiating a deal, you make sure that you have as a buyer, you have your down payment, but as a courtesy, if you're making a decent offer, that seller can come in and help pay some of that closing cost. Okay? So that's something you hire your buyer's agent to negotiate on your behalf for. The next one is the due diligence contingency. This is what I like to call the test drive. The test drive allows you the opportunity to, number one, explore the house, and not just your initial viewing, but it allows you to go back into the house and say, okay, let me really, really pay attention. I'm past all the bells and the whistles and the hype of the house. Let me really get in here and see what's going on. So during this time, which is typically anywhere from 7 to 10 days, calendar days, not business days, but 7 to 10 days, and this is a time where you're able to bring your plumber, your home inspector, number one, your electrician, or whomever that is licensed to be able to do that professional trade, and get them to really look at this property for you with their professional eye. Now, I have some buyers who, when we were in the quick of things and everything was moving, oh, I'll forego my inspection period. Again, that might have been a situation, Jennifer, where I would terminate that particular contract, because I don't believe in first-time home buyers or really any buyers purchasing properties without doing the test drive. Okay, you need to do the test drive so you can know what you're getting yourself into, and it allows you to walk away from the property or exit the contract without penalties. So that's the purpose of that test drive or due diligence period. You always want to, and you want to make sure you take advantage of it, even if it's not a 7 to 10 day period. If you want to make your offer look more attractive and say, well, Mr. Seller, I'm not going to take 7 to 10 days, just give me 3 to 5 or 1 to 3 days. That's still reasonable. Just make sure you do it. Okay? The next one is appraisal condition. What is the appraisal condition? The appraisal condition is saying that the bank is sending a person, an unbiased person, out to that property to evaluate the value of the area and the property itself. They're going to put a dollar value on what this property is worth. Now, all loans require an appraisal. Now, cash deals do not require appraisals, but you can still get an appraisal done just for your benefit. Appraisals will basically help you make a decision as to whether this is something you want to invest in or not. Now, with the appraisal, this is how the government protects a claim. If the property does not appraise for the value that is on the paper that you have signed, you will not still be required to move forward with that particular loan, because the bank is not going to still give you money that the higher dollar value if it does not appraise. Now, the caveat of that, sometimes there's a difference, is the seller may still say, well, I want my money in cash then. That's different. You got to give me that $50,000 in cash. It can happen. But in most cases, that bank is not going to proceed unless you're able to show that you do have that extra $50,000, the difference or the short of the loan. So that's how buyers are protected in value, because that appraiser is going to go out and say, okay, well, this house is listed for $230,000, but it's only worth $200,000. And that's how I have questions sometimes, buyers, well, how do I know if I'm overpaying? That's how you know if you're overpaying for a house, with that appraised value. Okay? And appraised values are good for 6 months. They go into a system and they sit in that system for 6 months. So whether you go in with that appraiser or anyone else, that appraiser is always going to be in that system. And the appraisers, they do, believe it or not, they do share those appraisals from other, they have access, I should say. They have access to those other appraisals. All right, so home warranty. How long will it cover appliances? You want to know, does this property, you want your buyer's agent to negotiate on your behalf a home warranty, okay? Most home warranties are for 12 months. And I like to get this for my first-time home buyers because, number one, they might be coming out of a rental situation where they're so used to having being able to call the landlord. So this is a nice transition piece for those people to still be able to have someone they can call and say, hey, my dishwasher was working when I moved in, but it's not working now. And they can call the home warranty company, pay a minimum fee, maybe it's a $50, $60 service call fee. And usually with the home warranty, if they cannot repair the item, they'll replace it. When I purchased my first home, my dishwasher didn't work. And in that exact situation, I was able to get a new one. So the home warranties make sure that your agent is asking for a home warranty on your behalf. The next one is the financing contingency. The financing contingency, will the sale be contingent on securing your financing? In most cases, you want it to be contingent on that because, number one, that pre-approval is just that, a pre-approval. It's not a final approval. It's only telling you that you can start, it's giving you the green light to shop. But when the underwriters, which are the people, we call them the gods of our business, when the underwriter gets in that file and start asking all these questions and asking about stuff you did 10 years ago, and they may feel some type of way of how you're looking on paper, then maybe they decide, well, we're going to have to deny this loan for X, Y, and Z. If you have that financing contingency in place, you won't lose your money. You'll be able to get your money back that you put down, that earnest money that you put down. So you want to make sure that your offer is contingent on you getting a final approval, not just the pre-approval, but the final approval, okay? And last but not least, well, next to last is the closing date. That's another important thing that we all need to focus on when you're going through the process. That's like the date that the culmination of everything. That's the main event. Now, with the closing date is something that we put on the contract, but it's not written in blood. It does not mean that your file is going to necessarily close on that. I like to tell my clients, we just got to give the people something to shoot for, the loan officer and everybody else. We got to give them something to target, because if not, they'll drag it out, okay? So that's why we have the closing date in place. But that's also your time to make sure you have all your stuff together as a buyer and you're submitting stuff and not just kind of being casual with, maybe like the loan officer may say, hey, I need those 2 check stubs, and they asked for it a week ago and it's taking your time to get them. Well, I tell my clients, for every day that you delay on the front end, just add that many days to the back end, because everything is time sensitive and it might push your closing date back if you're not timely in responding, okay? And the final one is possession. And the reason why I kind of group these together, because in most of my situations, the owner, once the owner signs the deal and everything closes, or the buyer signs everything, that's usually when they get possession. In some situations we hear lately, because of how fast things are moving with the market, we've had sellers who have needed to stay in that property maybe a week longer or maybe 2 weeks longer because their house isn't ready. They haven't closed on the house that they're moving to. So possession can take place after the closing date. That's not something that's unrealistic in this business, okay? All right, so negotiate the price and the terms of the sale. After you submit your offer, the seller can either accept it, which is the green light. They can say, no, I don't even want to entertain it. That's the red light. Or they might say, wait a minute, let me think about it, or this might work better for me. That's the yellow light. So most cases, you're probably going to get what we call the yellow light, because maybe it's not a full price offer, or maybe you're asking for additional concessions, meaning termite litter, home warranty, or extra items at a certain price, and the seller may not want to pay those things. Remember, the seller is looking at their bottom line. What is my check going to look like at the end of the day? That's what they are concerned about, all right? So the good thing, and I saw the thing about HUD. Let me back up for a minute. There is a program that HUD presents, and it's called the $100 Down Program. Now, it has to be, one of the requirements is it has to be a HUD property. And with those particular properties, they would allow you to just put $100 down versus if you were doing an FHA loan, you have to put the 3.5% down. So let's put this in perspective. Say, for instance, a property, a HUD property that costs $100,000. Now, if this is a HUD property and it costs $100,000, your down payment will be $100. Now, if this is a non-HUD property and it's $100,000, and you're pre-approved for an FHA loan, you're gonna spend at least $3,500 in your down payment. So how much is the savings? Virtually $3,400. So to me, it behooves you to entertain that $100 down program if you don't have access to that amount of funds, but you want to purchase a house. Okay? So it's very much so possible to be able to get into one of these homes with just $100 down. All right? So that's something to consider. You could also go to HUDhomestore.com. HUDhomestore.com. If someone could put that in the chat for me. And that's where you can explore a lot of, you can see what properties. HUD does a great job of advertising their own listings. They don't wait for us as agents to advertise for them. They get out there and advertise themselves, okay? So you can even set you up I call like a personal shopper who will automatically email you properties when something in your area or a particular area you're interested in pops up on the HUD screen, okay? So that's something that you want to, and it's .com, yes, it is .com. Or is it .gov? Now I'm second guessing myself, but I know it's HUD Home Store. All right, so check it out. Check it out. All right, so last step is managing the transaction through closing, okay, which is, okay, it is .gov, great. HUDhomestore.gov, so that's how we know it's even more official because it's .gov, all right? Managing the transaction through closing, which is very important because you want to make sure the whole goal, why are we even doing this to begin with? And that's to get to the closing table. You're going to receive a seller's disclosure, which is very important. This is a document, a legally binding document that is signed and dated by the seller because they have owned the property. They are knowledgeable of all the quirks of the property, anything that's going on with it, and that's them basically disclosing to you everything they know. How long has it been since the roof was in place? How old is the plumbing? You know, anything structural? Have they had any insurance claims? These are things that a regular DIY buyer or the regular DIY seller would not know about. They wouldn't know to ask these things. Yeah, how old is the septic tank, which is very important. You know, when you have a septic tank, you're supposed to have those things pumped out every so many years. I think it's 3 to 5 years, depending on, you know, how many people are in your household. So stuff like that is on that seller's property disclosure statement, and that's the seller's way of disclosing to the buyer what is going on with the property. And yes, those documents will stand in court. So if it's something that the seller disclosed to you and it's not necessarily true, then you have the right to proceed in litigation against that seller because of the information that was given. Also, for my investor people who are purchasing properties that have tenants on the inside, tenant occupants, then you deserve a copy of the lease. We want to know what kind of agreement is, how much are they paying? How long will they be here? Are they even paying at all? That's information as an investor. If you're purchasing a property with a tenant in it, you want to know that information. How much does it cost to maintain this particular property every year? Also, homeowners association information. Is this property in a gated community? Do we have to pay an assessment for the light, for the gate, the gate out front, or even for the common areas? Does it have certain covenants and restrictions? You know, some neighborhoods here in Albany, if you decide to have a structure in your backyard that's separate from your house, that structure has to be in the same material as how your house is built. So if I got a brick house, the covenant and restriction may require that my shed or my storage room in the back, it has to be brick as well. So that's something you want to take into consideration and make sure you have full disclosure of that information and not find that out further on down the line. Jennifer has a question. Is the seller required to, and it went away. Go ahead and ask your question, Jennifer. It went away, it disappeared.
Sorry, I was just curious, is the seller ever required to disclose if something happened in the house, like maybe it was a crime scene or something really funky happened in the house? Like, are they required to disclose that at all?
They're not required to disclose that, no. But if asked the question, they are required to give a truthful answer. So they don't have to just put it out there or advertise it, but if they are asked that question, then they are expected or required to answer truthfully. It's going so fast.
If you purchase a historic home, oh, Kathaleena said, if you purchase a historic home, there are also important things you must be aware of.
Yes. Yes, that is, and some like that kind of stuff as far as like if you're in a historic district, there are certain renovations or alterations you cannot make to that particular property because those properties are protected. So yes, if you are purchasing homes that way, you want to make sure you understand your limitations when it comes to renovating those type properties. Okay. All right, I'm watching my time. I got 18 minutes. All right, so your managing as part of managing the transaction to closing, your due diligence again is that time our test drive period, and this is the period to provide it to you as the buyer where you get a chance to review. In addition to the disclosure statement, you can review any tests or anything the seller has already had done to the property, and that disclosure does ask that question, Mr. Seller, have you had any recent inspection, any insurance claim, and that the buyer has the right to review those things prior to closing, okay? All right, you also have the right as a buyer to cancel or resolve any objections. If you conclude that these evaluations that they gave you, you know, it's red flag, and you don't want the house anymore, you have the right to walk away. You have the right to walk away, and your buyer's agent will make sure that you're able to walk away without penalty, okay? All right, other contingencies and financing. In the last steps of the transaction, your agent will basically make sure that your purchase is contingent on the appraisal, and they also will disclose, your lender will also let you know what exactly did the property appraisal, because maybe you're looking to refinance, and you can only refinance 6 months after the purchase. You cannot refinance any time before that time frame. So in knowing the value going into the deal, because it's not very likely your house is going to appreciate overnight. Well, in a normal market, it's not going to appreciate in $20,000 to $30,000 overnight, or even in 6 months. So you want to make sure that going in, you know what your value is, because if refinance is on your radar, you want to make sure that you will be able to do that. Also, how is your financing going? Are there any last-minute issues that's coming up? We've had stuff to come up on the day of closing. You want to make sure you have that buyer's agent that is in there with you to make sure that they're helping you negotiate those things or circumvent those things, and not just give up altogether and say, you know what, Mr. Lender, you're asking me too many questions, you're requiring too many documents, we're supposed to close tomorrow. So your buyer's agent is going to help you get through those things, because we've had it to happen. We've had it to happen where underwriting comes in and say, you know what, no, I changed my mind, I want 5 more documents. And that can be very discouraging when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get the keys tomorrow. No. So you want to make sure you have that buyer's agent on your side to help you navigate those roadblocks. Also, is this sale contingent on you selling the residence that you're in right now? How is that sale going? You know, is it under contract? Have you made sure that that particular buyer's agent is doing what they're supposed to do so you can close on your next house? And final, one of the most important things in this process is scheduling a final walkthrough. What I have seen, and I know it annoys my buyers, but because of past experience with this type of situation, I require that either me, myself, or one of my agents in my office physically go to the property the day of the closing. Now, my clients might see it as being last minute. Why are we scheduling to walk? My closing at 2 o'clock. Why are we walking through at 12? Because I've had situations, and it's just me from experience, my 15 years, had situations where stuff has been taken out, moved, you know, something that wasn't there is there, or something that was there isn't anymore at the last minute. Sellers get creative, they get desperate, they get emotional. You know, they had this beautiful, nice ceiling fan or beautiful, nice chandelier, and they change their mind, they want it. So literally, my clients, we will walk through, that's the last stop we made on the way to the closing attorney's office. That's just something that helps me sleep at night. Okay, so you want to make sure that your agent is doing that same thing, okay? All right, and closing day, the main event. We are here, we have made it. We have made it, for Dr. Monds said, friend purchase, and they saw it after. Yes, it happens. It does happen. It happens. All right, so we're here at the main event. We're about to sign our life away for a good time is like a time that you should share with your family. Like if you have kids, bring them to the closing. Kids need to see, you know, what was stressing mom and dad out the whole time, or what caused us to not be able to go to McDonald's every day, or well, not every day, but why we didn't get to go, you know, on that trip. If it's this is the culmination. They need to know the responsibilities that come with owning a home, and how do you close this thing? What's the big deal about it? And closing day is that for me. I try to make my closings exciting because everyone does not get to close on a property. So this is a big deal for most people. This is purchasing a home is one of the biggest assets you will ever have. So for some people. So it is important that you should go through this process and even tell your family members about it, because maybe you'll inspire them to do the same. Okay? All right, so let's recap. I hope everyone is still on. I got 10 minutes, 11. So I'm going to go through and recap here. And I hope this works. I got a little something I'm trying. I hope it works. If you all will take your phone. Oh, Dr. Wynn said change the locks ASAP. Yes. All right, so we are doing a quick game here. And if you will, you all can go to Kahoot, or you can just use your phone, scan your screen, or you can go to kahoot.it real quick, and it's going to automatically sign you up. Just put in that PIN and put your name in. We're gonna just answer a few questions. We got 10 minutes. Okay, Jen is in. I see you. I hope you all can see my screen. All right. Question 1. Which one of these is not a benefit of hiring a buyer's agent? Is not a benefit of hiring a buyer's agent. Go ahead and select your questions on your screen. Select your answers, on your screen. And you can touch either one of the colors. All right, so 3 people said the buyer's agent will conduct the appraisal on the buyer's behalf, and that's correct. That's the answer. So 3 people got that correct. All right, awesome. Let's see what's next. All right, look at the points. Y'all see the points? Okay. And you also get points for responding faster than anyone else. I guess the first student to respond. All right, true or false? As a buyer, you are able to walk away from a deal anytime before closing as long as written notice is provided. Ooh. Can we walk away anytime we want to? That's the question. Anytime. And the answer is false, okay? And maybe we should have said you can't walk away without penalty. You can walk away. You can. But it will be penalized if you walk away at any time, regardless of giving written notice or not, because that money, that earnest money is in place, all right? All right, there's our scoreboard. All right. And next. What does it cost to hire a buyer's agent? What does it cost to hire a buyer's agent? Is it the 6%? The agent tell you how much they're going to charge? No cost, or the cost of the earnest money? Which one is it? And the answer is typically no cost to the buyer. Remember, the seller already has that agreement worked out with the listing agent to pay a buyer's agent, so it's not a fee in most cases that you will have to come out of pocket with. All right. Christy's in the lead now. All right. It's getting a little competitive. Okay. True or false? Is it okay to work with 2 realtors at once? It's okay. No, it's okay to work with 2 realtors at once. True or false? True or false? And as we know, false. Okay? We only want to work with 1 agent at a time, okay? Let's see how we're looking. Okay, Miss Christy holding her lead. All right. Next. After the buyer submits an offer, which of the following is not an option of the seller? Which one is not an option of the seller? Remember that red light, green light, yellow light, and that's where we are. Okay, so everyone got it correct. Well, 4 people got it correct. Accept the offer. Beg the buyer to increase the price at the closing. That's something the seller cannot do, okay? All right. All right, Jen's in the lead. Jen's in the lead. Let's go. Let's see what we got next. 3 more questions. Last 3. What's the purpose of including a pre-approval letter with your offer? Why is that important? You want to show the seller how much you can pay on your current monthly mortgage or rent. Show that the seller how much money you currently have in your bank account. Shows the seller that you are a strong, serious, and capable buyer. Or shows the seller your credit scores. I got 800 scores, 850 scores, Mr. Seller. Sell me your house. And the answer is 5. It shows that the seller, I'm sorry, not 5. It's the blue one. I'm looking at the number. It shows the seller that you are a strong, serious, and capable buyer. What we like to say, ready, willing, and able buyer. You have buyers that are ready and willing, but some of them are not able. Okay? All right. Let's see how did that change. Okay. Kind of held still a little bit. All right, Miss Trista, come on back now. You was at the top. All right. Which is not a home searching resource that you or your agent might have access to? Which one? Whether it's you or your agent. Now, my assistant created these questions, so I'm looking at these answers like, So which one is not a home searching resource? The rest of them are. Okay. And she said home sold by your agent in the past 3 months. I don't know why she chose the answer, but that's the answer she put. So I'm gonna go with what she said. I see her logic in that, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. She's a licensed agent. I need to talk to her about that. But home sold by your agent in the past 3 months. Okay. All right. How did they change our scoreboard? You stayed the same on that one? Okay. I probably would have stayed the same too. Yeah, that was kind of like a little trick question. That's okay. And last one, what happens during the due diligence period? What happens? Do the buyers and sellers negotiate the offer during this time? Does the bank provide the funding during this time? Do buyers obtain disclosure and inspections during this time? Or the buyer gets a pre-approval for this time? And the answer is buyer obtains disclosures and inspections during this time. Okay. Good job, class. You did good. So let's see who's the winner here. Jen? No, is it? Miss Chandra? Uh-oh. And the winner is, the number 1 is Miss Jamie. All right. Well, congratulations. Good job, class. I'm proud of you all. You paid attention. You did a great job. And I did a test one with my agent.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yes, it's great way to recap. Great way to recap. Okay, let's get back to our slide here. Okay, so again, guys, that wraps my presentation, and I am 2 minutes short, so I'm glad I was able to get that in. And if you guys have any questions, or do we want to now do that, Dr. Monds? Ask a few questions. Maybe I can take 2 questions real quick. Was there something that anyone has questions about that I did not get to answer during my presentation? We have 2 minutes. Anything, or can y'all watch the chat for me because I can't see it?
Well, this might be a good time, Rushunda. By the way, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So first of all, let's give Rushunda Muldrow a round of applause, ladies, and if there are any gentlemen on the line. Thank you for a great presentation. So are you going to do a gift card for our participants this evening? Is that something?
Yes. We are doing a $25 gift card to the store of their choice.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do at this moment, we have captured all the names. So I'm going to ask Jennifer if you would share your screen. We've captured all the participants' names who are in the session, the first session. And we are going to, so first of all, everyone, please make sure you can see your name.
All right.
Okay. Awesome. So, Tandra, if you could put in the chat where you would like your $25 gift card, what store, we will get that sent out to you. And or you can take the information and email me or text me your address if you want me to mail it, or I can do it digitally, either way. Okay, yeah, post your email. Yeah, that would be the awesome email address.
Okay, so we have a bit of a break. It is now 6:52. And while we are ready for Jennifer to present, we would like to, for each of you who are on the call right now, to kindly come off of, turn your cameras on so that we can get a photo of everyone. And I'm holding my phone, so I'm talking online on the call to please turn your cameras on and we'll get a quick picture. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you all. Come on, so we can do
I accidentally put mine on audio only mode and don't know how to change it back.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Austin. Thank you. Come on, Devin, and Christy, and Jasmine, and Jamie. Let's see your beautiful faces. It'll only take a moment, and then we'll get started. It is again 6:50.
Hello.
What I will do. Jasmine?
Mine's on auto mode too. I don't know how to check it off either.
Oh, okay. No worries. Is there anybody else who can come on image? And we can do a quick thank you, and Sherry is. I'm just going to do a quick screenshot for the record. So Sherry, are you able to come back on image, on camera? Thank you, Devin. Hey. Make sure that our grant folks realize that these are real people behind the screen. So if anyone else is able to come on, that'd be great. Devin or Jamie or Christy or Dewan, you keep going in and out. I don't know. Or Sherry, I don't know what happened to you.
Our winner, Tandra.
Yes. Congratulations. Right, 5. You coming back, Sherry and Austin? Jennifer, I think you just went out as well. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're losing people. I don't know what's happening. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop this recording. Again, thank you, Rushunda Muldrow, for a fantastic presentation. I'm going to stop recording.